Today, we're jumping into a story that's got everything: unbelievable speed, NFL stardom, and a potential homecoming that has the entire league holding its breath. And it all started right here, with this simple, maybe not so cryptic message on X. You see, just hours after his old teammate, the superstar Tyreek Hill, was suddenly released by the Miami Dolphins, Super Bowl champion Chris Jones posts this. This wasn't just a tweet, you guys. This was a signal flare shot up for the entire football world to see. And that signal flare, it sparked an absolute firestorm of speculation, all boiling down to one massive question. Could the Cheetah, one of the most electric players we've seen, actually go back to Kansas City, back to where his legend was born? So, to really wrap our heads around this, here's what we're gonna do. We'll break down that teammate's call, look back at his glory days with the Chiefs, unpack what went wrong in Miami, figure out the crossroads he's at right now, and finally, ask, does he have one last race left in him? All right, let's dive right in. That "it's time" message from Chris Jones, let's be real, that wasn't just some random thought he decided to share. This was a very, very public recruiting pitch from a cornerstone of the Chiefs defense, basically shouting from the rooftops that he wanted to bring a champion back into the fold. But to really get why this one little tweet sent shockwaves through the league, you have to rewind. You have to remember just how unbelievably dominant Tyreek Hill was when he wore that Kansas City red. I mean, his career has been a total roller coaster. Think about it. He goes from a fifth-round draft pick who just explodes onto the scene, to a Super Bowl champion at the absolute peak of the sport. Then a trade that nobody saw coming, and now this, a shocking, unexpected release. It has been a seriously wild ride. And look, he wasn't just some other guy on the roster. Hill was a core piece of that Chiefs dynasty. He was that human blur of speed, Patrick Mahomes' absolute favorite deep threat, a guy who completely changed the geometry of their offense. And then came the move that honestly stunned the entire league back in March of 2022, the trade to Miami. And this, right here, is where the story takes a really sharp and, well, a really challenging turn. Now, at first, he was incredible, absolutely spectacular. His time in Miami started with 2 straight 1,000-yard seasons. In 2023, he led the entire NFL with almost 1,800 receiving yards. The man was on top of the football world. But that peak just didn't last. The last 2 seasons, a very sharp, very noticeable drop in production. As you can see, he didn't even come close to sniffing that 1,000-yard mark again. And then, it all came to a horrible, grinding halt. Just 4 games into the 2025 season, he suffered a catastrophic injury. We're talking a torn ACL, a dislocated knee. I mean, this is the kind of brutal injury that makes you question if a career can even continue. And on top of the on-field struggles, his time in Miami was also clouded by serious off-field allegations, including claims of domestic violence from his estranged wife, which added another heavy, difficult layer to this whole chapter of his career. So, that all brings us to right now. He's at a genuine crossroads, both as a player and as a person. The question is, what happens next? So why did Miami let him go? Well, it really just comes down to business. It's the cold, hard math of the NFL. Cutting an aging star who's coming off a major injury frees up a massive $23 million in salary cap space. It's a calculated move. So the million-dollar question is, where could he land? Well, a couple of very logical and pretty fascinating destinations have popped up. The first one is obvious, right? A reunion in Kansas City. But the second one is also compelling, heading to the Chargers, where his old head coach from Miami, Mike McDaniel, is now running the offense. Both paths are all about reunions. Okay, but that's enough speculation about what everybody else thinks. What does the man himself, the Cheetah, have to say about his own future? So, not long after the news came out, he posted this message on Instagram. And it's a very reflective note, you know? He's framing this huge challenge not as some bitter ending, but as a really tough learning experience, one about resilience and about gratitude. But then he followed up that thoughtful moment with a defiant message to anyone who might be doubting him. He made it crystal clear that in his mind, he is far from done. He's putting the entire league on notice. The Cheetah don't slow down, ever. That's not just a statement, that's a promise of a comeback. And that right there leaves us with the ultimate question hanging over his entire legacy. Are we watching the determined start of a truly incredible comeback story? Or are we witnessing the final painful chapter for a player who, not long ago, seemed absolutely unstoppable? Only time is going to tell. But I think the biggest question of all is whether this whole story comes full circle. Will the Cheetah's last great race be right back in Kansas City, the place where it all began? Like he said, we'll just have to wait on it.